You're 23 years old, working the front desk at a hotel in Mazatlan when he walks in. You've seen rich men before. The hotel caters to them, tourists and businessmen who tip well and look through you like furniture. But this one is different. He looks at you. Not through you, not past you. At you. He asks your name. He asks about your day. He comes back the next morning just to bring you coffee. His name is Raphael. He tells you he's in construction, which you believe for about 2 weeks before the bodyguards become impossible to ignore. The black SUVs that follow him everywhere. The way restaurant owners rush to greet him. The way police officers nod as he passes. You're not stupid. You grew up in Sinaloa. You know what construction means when it comes with armed escorts and too much cash. You should walk away. Every smart impulse you have says run. Back to your mother's house in Culiacan. Back to the life that was small but safe. But Raphael is kind to you in ways no man has ever been kind. He listens when you talk. He remembers details you mentioned once, weeks ago. He looks at you like you're the most important person in any room. And after 23 years of being invisible, that attention feels like sunlight after winter. He asks you to come to Guadalajara with him. Not forever, he says, just for a weekend. He has a house there, staff, everything you could want. You can see the city, go shopping, spend time together away from the hotel where you're always working. You say yes. The weekend becomes a week. The week becomes a month. The month becomes a life you never planned and can't seem to leave. The house in Guadalajara is bigger than any building you've ever entered as anything other than staff. 12 bedrooms, a pool that glitters turquoise in the afternoon sun, gardens maintained by staff who lower their eyes when you pass. Raphael gives you a room of your own. Not his room, not yet, but a suite with a bathroom larger than your mother's entire apartment. Marble floors. A closet the size of your childhood bedroom. A balcony that overlooks the city like you're supposed to be looking down on the world. He gives you clothes. Designers whose names you've only seen in magazines. Jewelry that feels heavy on your wrists and neck. A credit card with no apparent limit, though you're afraid to test it. He gives you everything a woman is supposed to want. Beauty, comfort, the attention of a powerful man. He gives you everything except freedom, though you don't recognize that part yet. Freedom is one of those things you don't notice until it's gone. The first time you share his bed, it's your choice. He's been patient, respectful, never pressuring in ways you could point to and name. He waits. He lets you come to him. You go because you want to. Because the kindness has built into something that feels like love. Or at least like the closest thing to love you've ever experienced. Boys your age were grabby, impatient, interested in what they could take. Raphael seems interested in what he can give. The difference feels like revelation. Afterward, he holds you and talks about his childhood. His mother who died young from a sickness they couldn't afford to treat. The poverty he escaped through means he doesn't specify. Through work he calls construction even now, even in the dark, even with your head on his chest. You feel close to him. You feel chosen. You feel like maybe all those romance novels you read as a teenager weren't lies after all. You learn the rules gradually, the way you learn anything in a world where nothing is stated directly. Don't ask about business. Don't acknowledge the men who come and go at odd hours, their faces hard, their conversations stopping when you enter rooms. Don't leave the property without security, not because Raphael forbids it, but because the security team simply doesn't allow it, and their authority comes from somewhere you can't appeal. Don't contact family without mentioning it first. Don't question where he goes when he leaves or when he'll be back. The rules aren't stated explicitly. They're communicated through glances from staff who've been here longer than you, through the gentle corrections Raphael offers when you step wrong, through the things that simply don't happen, no matter how many times you try. The cage is made of silk, but it's still a cage. The bars are invisible, but they're still bars. By the time you understand this, you're already inside, and the door you entered through has somehow disappeared. Year 1. You've become part of Raphael's life in ways you didn't anticipate. You travel with him sometimes, Cabo, Mexico City, once to Miami, where you stayed in a penthouse and pretended to be someone who belonged there. You meet other women like you, mistresses of other powerful men, and you recognize the same careful blankness in their eyes, the same practiced smiles, the same understanding that the lives you're living aren't really yours. You meet his wife at a party. She's older than you, elegant, the mother of his 3 children. She looks at you without surprise, without anger, just a weary acknowledgement, one woman to another, of the roles you've both been assigned. You understand then that you're not special. You're a category. Raphael has had women like you before, and will have women like you again. You're a luxury item, like the cars and the houses and the watches. You depreciate. The violence touches you for the first time in year 2. Raphael comes home with blood on his shirt. Not his blood, he assures you, as if that makes it better. He's agitated, pacing, drinking more than usual. You learn not to ask questions, but you hear fragments. A betrayal, a message sent, a problem resolved. You lie next to him that night and feel the space between your bodies like a canyon. The man who brought you coffee at the hotel desk is the same man who came home with someone else's blood drying on his clothes. You think about leaving. The thought comes to you in quiet moments, mornings when Raphael is gone for days and the house feels like a mausoleum. Nights when you lie awake counting the ways your life has narrowed since you walked through that hotel lobby. You used to have friends, co-workers, the ordinary network of connections that makes a life feel like a life. Now you have staff who serve you, and security who watch you, and other mistresses who understand exactly what you are, because they are the same thing. But leaving isn't simple. You have no money of your own. The credit card is his, linked to accounts you have no access to, and every purchase is recorded somewhere. The clothes are his, bought with his money, and you couldn't sell them without him knowing. The jewelry he could take back with a word. You have no skills the legitimate world would value. You were a hotel receptionist making minimum wage before you became this. Now you're 25, with a 2-year gap on any resume you could write, and the only experience you could honestly describe would make you unemployable anywhere respectable. You have a mother in Culiacan who's been receiving monthly payments you didn't authorize. 10,000 pesos, deposited like clockwork, enough to pay her rent and cover her medicine, and leave a little extra for the grandchildren she keeps asking about. You called her once, early on, to ask about the money. She said a company contacted her, said her daughter had arranged for support. She sounded happy. She sounded cared for. She didn't ask questions because the money was too good to question. Your mother. That's the thread Raphael holds without ever pulling it. He's never threatened her, never even mentioned her in a context that felt like warning. He just tells you sometimes that he's glad he can help your family. That family is important. That loyalty matters. But you know the way you know everything in this world. Through implication, through the weight of unspoken possibilities, through the careful way people avoid saying things that everyone already understands. Your mother is comfortable because Raphael is generous. Your mother would be vulnerable if Raphael decided generosity was no longer warranted. The payments would stop. Or worse than stop. Year 3. You've become skilled at the performance of contentment. You smile at parties. You wear the clothes he buys. You play the role of the woman who's chosen this life and loves it. Other mistresses confide in you, sharing stories of men who are crueler than Raphael. Men who hit, men who share, men who discard women like used tissues. You're lucky, they tell you. Raphael is one of the good ones. You nod and agree and wonder what good means in a world where the baseline is monstrousness. A girl arrives at the house. Young, 19, maybe 20, with the same wide eyes you had 3 years ago. Raphael introduces her as a friend's daughter, someone who needs a place to stay. You watch her settle into a guest room and understand immediately what she is. Your replacement or your supplement. The roster expanding. You're not the only one anymore. You should feel jealous. Instead, you feel something closer to relief. If Raphael's attention is divided, maybe the weight of it will lighten. Maybe you can breathe. But you also feel pity for the girl, for the way she looks at Raphael like he's salvation. for the way she doesn't yet understand the price of the comfort she's being offered. Her name is Lucia. You become something like friends, though friendship in this context is complicated. You teach her the rules, the unspoken boundaries, the art of being valuable without being threatening. You become the senior wife in a harem that officially doesn't exist. The hierarchy is absurd, but hierarchies are what humans build when they're trapped together. Year 4. Raphael's business is under pressure. You don't know the details, but you can read the signs. More bodyguards, more late nights, more conversations that stop when you enter rooms. He's stressed in ways you've never seen, drinking more, sleeping less, quick to anger over small things. The kindness that first drew you to him appears less frequently. The man underneath is emerging, and the man underneath is frightening. He hits you once. An argument about nothing, your voice raised when it shouldn't have been, and then his hand across your face. Not hard enough to leave a mark. He's too smart for that, but hard enough to communicate. You apologize. You always apologize. You've learned that apologies are currency, that contrition buys safety, that your feelings matter less than his equilibrium. Lucia sees the aftermath, the redness fading from your cheek. She doesn't say anything. What is there to say? You're both in the same trap, and neither of you knows the way out. The police raid comes at dawn in year 5. Federales, dozens of them, surrounding the house with weapons drawn. You're pulled from bed, thrown against a wall, interrogated as if you're a criminal rather than a captive. They ask about Raphael's business, about shipments, about names you don't recognize. You tell them the truth. You don't know anything. You've spent 5 years not knowing, cultivating ignorance like a survival skill. Raphael is arrested. You watch from the window as they lead him away in handcuffs, his face blank, already calculating. The house is seized. Everything in it becomes government property, including, apparently, you. You're released after 2 days of questioning, with nothing except the clothes you were wearing when they came through the door. Your mother wires you money for a bus ticket home. You ride for 12 hours through countryside you barely see, trying to understand who you are now that you're not Raphael's woman. You're 28 years old. You have no degree, no work history, no references. You have 5 years of experience at being beautiful and compliant, skills that are worth exactly nothing in the world you're returning to. Culiacan is smaller than you remember. Your mother's apartment is smaller too, cramped after the mansion you've been living in. She doesn't ask questions. She just holds you, this daughter who left at 23 and returned at 28 as a stranger. The monthly payments have stopped. The comfort Raphael provided was always conditional, and the condition was Raphael. You find work at a restaurant, serving tables, earning in a week what you used to spend in an hour. The work is hard, and the pay is terrible, and you're grateful for both. Honest money feels different in your hands. Honest exhaustion feels different in your body. You're rebuilding something that was disassembled so gradually you didn't notice until it was gone. Lucia calls you once, from a number you don't recognize. She's in Mexico City, she says. Found a man who's helping her. You hear the familiar notes in her voice. The hope, the gratitude, the willful blindness. She's in another cage with another lock. You wish her well. You don't know what else to offer. Year 6. You've built something small, but yours. An apartment you pay for yourself. A job that's become a career. You're managing the restaurant now, handling inventory and staff with skills you didn't know you had. A man who courts you slowly, who doesn't arrive with bodyguards, who works at the phone company and thinks your past is none of his business. Normal. You're building something normal. Raphael is extradited to the United States. You see it on the news. His face, older now, being led off a plane in Texas. 20 years, the reports say. Maybe more. You feel nothing you can name. Not satisfaction, not grief. Just the strange emptiness of watching a chapter close on a book you never wanted to be in. Your mother asks once, just once, if you loved him. You don't know how to answer. You loved the way he made you feel. In the beginning, when feeling seen was enough to mistake for love, You loved the comfort, the security, the illusion that you mattered. But Raphael himself, the man who built a prison from kindness and furnished it with fear, you don't know if that's something you can love. You don't know if that's something anyone can love. You're 30 now. You've been free for 2 years, though freedom still feels like a new language you're learning. You still flinch sometimes when men raise their voices. You still check exits when you enter rooms. You still dream about the house in Guadalajara, its beautiful gardens, and its invisible bars. But you also dream about other things now. The restaurant you might open someday. The life you're building with the man from the phone company who proposed last month with a ring he saved for. The children you might have, who will never know what their mother was before she was their mother. The girl who walked into that hotel in Mazatlan is gone. You killed her slowly, over 5 years, replacing her piece by piece with someone who could survive what Raphael offered. Now you're killing that woman too, the mistress, the possession, the luxury item. You're becoming someone else, someone who belongs to herself. It's not redemption. You didn't do anything that requires redemption. You survived, which is what women have always done when survival was the only option. It's not victory either. Raphael is in prison, but the world that made him is still churning out men like him, still churning out girls like you were. It's just life, continuing, finding its way forward. You take off the last piece of jewelry he gave you, a bracelet you've worn for years without thinking about it. You put it in a drawer. You don't throw it away. It's a reminder of who you were, a reminder of what you escaped, a reminder that cages can be made of gold and still be cages, and a reminder that even golden cages have doors. You found yours. That's a wrap. The story is fiction, but cartel mistresses are real. Right now, in mansions across Mexico, women are living in beautiful prisons, trading autonomy for comfort, learning the rules of survival in a world they didn't choose. The luxury looks different from the inside. The doors are harder to find than they seem. If this made you think,